Some of you may not be understanding the criticalness of this, are you becoming the type of person thing. And the way I play the game is I say, look, what if I gave you, any one of you, and just go through the exercise again, those of you who've heard this 10 times. What if I gave you that authority to live forever and choose who you would spend forever with? Would you not have to decide what kind of criteria or measuring stick you would use to decide who gets in and who doesn't get in? Aren't you going to have to think about what type of person you're looking for to want to spend? Because forever is a long time. It's the longest time there is. It's no time. It's just forever. So will you want, think about all the people you know right now on the planet, the people that you're related to, that you work with, that you interact with on a regular basis. Would you want to live with all of them forever? See, I think if we all don't change at all and then end up in the forever, that doesn't sound like heaven, it sounds like hell. We're already miserable now with all that. Why would we want to do that forever? It's come as you are, but please don't stay that way. We're supposed to be changing, conforming, and transforming into the image of the Son. The more we do that, the more that we'll be happier with each other. But the more we decide to be stubbornly self-sovereign, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So then my thought is, how many people right now would be on your list? Be a pretty small list, I think, for most of us that we'd actually feel comfortable spending forever with. Think about it. Think about the people you thought you were real comfortable with in your life that you no longer even talk to because it turned out you didn't really actually do as well with them as you thought. Friends you no longer have, family members you don't talk to or don't talk to you. We think that we were really close with these people at one point and came to find out we were not echad. We were not of one mind or one opinion. We weren't focused correctly together as one. So here's the scarier thought. How many people's lists do you think you'd be on? It's one thing to start thinking about it from the point of view, okay, well, you're not on my list. You can forget about you. But what about when people look at you and they've got their list? Are you on their list? Or are you one of the ones that looked at like, no way. Forget about that. Not happening. Okay? Well, guess what? That's what this is all about, is Yahweh's going to sit down with you and stop thinking about it as the judgment seat where he's going to take and hold you up against like a test in an exam. Did you pass the test? No, he's going to sit down with you. I'm thinking more like a casual situation like in a living room with a couch or whatever and sit there and go, you know what? I think I'd like to spend forever with you. I've seen your whole life. I've seen every decision you made. I know where your heart is at. I know how you think. Yeah, I think I'd like to spend forever with you. Because that's what this life test is really about. Not whether or not you kept the Sabbath perfect and he wants you to want to. He wants you to try to. That's the Deuteronomy 8:2. We're going to talk about that today as well. He wants it to be in your heart to keep the commandments and to want to do them perfectly, but not doing it perfectly is not going to get you booted out. Doing it carelessly might, because your heart wasn't right. If you took it too lightly, you didn't try hard. But it's going to be about, how would I feel spending forever with you? Would I enjoy it? Because there are probably a bunch of people out there that keep certain commandments absolutely perfectly, but I don't think we'd enjoy spending 5 minutes together because it didn't work on the other half of it, which is the fruit of the Spirit. See, part of it is the technical part. Did you have a heart to be obedient? The other part is, are you a miserable human being who nobody likes to be around? Because let's face it, you can be an obnoxious jerk and keep all the commandments perfectly. You can. You do not have to have any kind of personality to eat kosher or show up on Shabbat or to not steal or not murder or to not covet or commit adultery or not make an... You can still be a miserable human being and do all those things correctly. Tithe correctly. All of the, whatever it is, go through all the 613, you can do them all. None of those commandments require you to be nice. They don't. Polite, respectful, fun to be around. None of those commandments require any of that stuff. But that's why Yeshua said to love your neighbor as yourself is just as important as keeping the commandments. Now, it wasn't a new instruction. because we have that also in Leviticus and other places in the Tanakh where it says to love your neighbor as yourself. But he's saying that sometimes people get focused on the one and they forget that the other one is just as important. This is why he says things like, yes, you tithe on even the little leaves of the herbs, the mint and the anise, etc. But what about the mercy and the compassion and the other personality things that would make you a person someone would want to spend forever with? You know, some of us help our children with this when they're younger, thinking, and we teach them and we say, you know what, if you don't change, nobody's ever going to want to marry you. You're not going to have any friends because right now you're a miserable person. Who would want to be with that person? And so this is all part of the unity and division part of the puzzle here. Is to understand that if we're going to become the type of person that Yahweh wants to live with forever, now if you are the type of person, you're not going to cause division because you're not going to have envy. You're not going to be having any strife with anybody. You're not going to feel like, well, that's not fair and this and that. You're going to simply say, I accept your will, Abba, and I know that whatever's happening, that's the idea of emunah. I have full trust, faith, and belief that in my emunah, that what you're doing is the right thing. And it was supposed to happen because there's a purpose to it.